Well, I talked to the boys about their success first time round and following the split, what life was like when they went their separate ways, having spent so much time together.
One thing that stands out for me, actually, when we decided to call it a day was actually in 2011, and we were in a hotel room in Zurich in Switzerland, and we made the official decision, didn't tell anybody but our close family and partners. And then we started to look at the greatest hits that year and a farewell tour, which gave us pretty much 9 months. I haven't been together for 14 years, 13 at that point, to prepare for the end of it all, having known nothing else bar being in Westlife since we were all 18, 17 years of age. And we got through that tour really well. You know, we were in Asia a couple of times, we were all over China, parts of Europe, and then we did the UK, and then we went across to Ireland. And the very next morning for me, I remember waking up thinking, I always had a fear of what would you do on the morning, the first morning where there was no more Westlife, having known it since you were 17. And I remember, waking up and phoning my wife downstairs. She was in the kitchen, and I was up still in bed. I phoned her and said, "Is there any chance I can order scrambled eggs, smoked salmon, toast, and cappuccino, please?" She just laughed because we were so used to being in hotels and ordering room service. But I think we all knew that we needed to have that bit of downtime, is probably the wrong word, but we needed our own space. We needed to challenge ourselves mentally and physically. And I think if you just look across the table at everything we did, we all released a solo album. Keane went in and won The Jungle. I went on Strictly. We all did different things, presented TVs, presented radio, and really enjoyed our time away. And next year being, 2019 is 20 years since those big songs, Swear It Again, Flying Without Wings, all those songs, and it even took us back. The nostalgia when you see those moments are huge for never mind the fans, for us as well. So the thought of doing it again when we met up was like, yeah, let's have a good crack at this. Life's too short. So,
and I can imagine it was interesting for all of you to watch what the other were doing. Did anyone do anything that surprised you all? I mean, you talk about Strictly, The Jungle, other stuff that you were doing. Did you pick up the Poper one day and think, blimey, I didn't think they'd do that?
Well, I never thought Keane would win The Jungle. That was one thing.
Excuse yourself. Neither did I, in fairness.
No, do you know what I think, real quickly, before I get on the line? I always remember we all started supporting. We never fell out, which was a good thing. But when everybody did anything, on social media you would see it. So I remember Shane used to do this Friday countdown to news of what he was going to be releasing and when the single was going. Yeah. So nearly I was almost a fan going, geez, I wonder what he's releasing next. As he's just signed a 20 million deal with Universal. What's going on? And then like Keane obviously entering The Jungle, and then I remember Mark doing a Christmas album, and I actually
just retired and just stayed at home listening to your radio show, Nicky.
Thank you. But you know what's funny? I actually have a radio show here in Ireland, and all of the lads were on my show at different stages for different reasons, whether it was album promotion or book promotion. So yeah, I think we all supported each other for the first couple of months, and then it got boring having to tweet, "The best of luck, Shane, with your new deal. The best of luck, Keane, in The Jungle. Everybody vote for him." After a while, it was like, okay, lads, we all love each other. We don't need to keep this up.
Your radio show didn't get boring though, Nicky.
Thanks, Mike. Thank you.
Not lovely. To me.
One listener I have so far.
Were you concerned when you were on his radio show? Could you see that glint in his eye when he was asking questions? You think, don't ask that question.
No, I was like, whatever you know about me, I know about you too. So
we all have that miss.
Bring it on.
Yeah, exactly.
Do you think anybody filled the void whilst you were away? I mean, suppose for your fans in particular, but there didn't seem to be that collaboration of, say, like, I don't like to refer to you as a boy band, but that sort of big group that came along, arguably to fill the gap that you left.
Somebody said that to me the other day, actually, that nobody kind of did come along, which is obviously 6 years. One Direction were they were already there, I suppose, but they were, I suppose, a younger market, but they're probably the only band that did come along and have a massive successful career. But somebody that, I suppose, to fill the void for our fan base and our style of music, nobody did, which was actually surprising when you look at it now. But look, I suppose that's great, because the Westlife fans are still waiting for us, which is amazing.
Also, I think the sort of musical landscape changed a lot, and it's almost coming back around a little bit now. We heard Ed Sheeran Perfect, and we were, like, all of us individually sort of thought instantly that could be a Westlife song, and so to me anyways, that kind of showed that our style of music is sort of coming back around again, and there's been sort of a real overindulgence in this sort of the music that everyone knows what I'm talking about. It's kind of a lot of EDM and a lot of featured vocals, and the music sort of went off on a tangent. And I think almost weirdly now Westlife's style of music is refreshing to people. Whereas before we stopped, it was almost overkill of our style of music from lots of different acts. So I think it's the right time more than ever for us to come back now. I think our musical style will be actually refreshing as opposed to something that people might feel they've heard too much of.
Well, we talked about how things have changed for bands these days because, of course, back when they started, it was a very different landscape. It was all Saturday morning TV and MTV and videos and the like. Nowadays, it's all about Twitter and social media.
Like when Twitter had started, I think, just before we finished, but there was no Instagram, there was no Snapchat. Facebook was probably barely alive as well. So that's changed the landscape, I think, as well.
I think massively in a way of when we now talk about putting something out there, we're more talking about like putting it out there on social media than we are talking about putting it out on like getting that big TV show. It's like, where are we going to make the announcement and how are we going to do it? And then all of a sudden you put it up on social media and you have, a reach. You see this reach number coming in of like 10 million. You're like, what? 10 million people saw that?
I know, it's crazy.
It's great though because we were able to speak directly to our fans.
Exactly.
Our first, it was a bit of a. It was a bit mind-boggling to try and decide how are we going to announce we're coming back. What magazine or paper or show do we go on? And then we were like, how about we just do it directly from us to the fans? And we ended up doing this video on our official Facebook page. And it was just a message from us to the fans. We didn't even actually say we're getting back together. It was just a video of us messing around or whatever. And it was probably the best way we could have done it, directly from us to the fans in our own words, not in somebody else's words. And I think that's actually a great thing about social media is you have that direct connection to the fans.
And that's a really interesting point because I can imagine last time you were together, phones were just being used for phone purpose, texting and so on and so forth, whereas obviously now it's like a little office that you carry around. Have you noticed that any one of you in particular is a slave to your phone?
We're all slaves.
All of us.
I think we're all slaves this week to our phones. Definitely, we're looking at everything a lot more, obviously, because it's a very big week for us as a band. It's also a very big week for the fans. So you want to see their reactions and stuff. But as Mark said earlier, like we literally launched our career from our 4 mobile phones, really, and it, launched the comeback, should I say? And it's amazing to have that connection with the fans because they're the people we're reaching out to. Obviously, press and radio and everybody might talk about it or have conversations about it, but our fans need to hear it, and no better place than from us.
And of course, the thing is, I did mention earlier, you weren't a boy band. You weren't reliant on taking your tops off, which does that make it a little bit easier to come back?
Are you saying we couldn't?
Well, you could have done, and I'm sure it would have gone down very well. But
we could do on radio.
We could take it. We could take them off this year.
We're all topless now. You just can't see us.
What a thought! That is a good right. So was it a bit like the first day of school when you all got back together again?
No, you know what? It felt very comfortable very fast. I think that was what was so cool about it in a way. I suppose we probably all had our own individual kind of worries or, what's it going to be like, when we all get back in the room. But it was really comfortable, really fast. And even days like today, doing radio interviews and stuff like that, it just feels so natural and so second nature at this stage. I mean, I think going back on what we started talking about at the very top of the interview when you asked Nicky about what it was like being away, I think we'd done it for so long, from the ages of like 17, 18 all the way till our mid-30s to kind of like go away for a few years and come back. It's probably just like riding a bicycle. You still remember what it's like. We
might need stabilizers though for the first gig.
Well, I don't think so. I think by the time we get there we'll be well off the stabilizers again.
And
I'll be on a one-wheeler.
You've achieved so much. I mean, the figures speak for themselves. Is there anything you'd still like to achieve that you think, actually, right, we're back together, let's see if we can't strive to do this?
Wembley Stadium.
Yeah, but with the fear of sounding like, somebody like that is so driven. Like, it's a whole new challenge because we're back and we haven't been around for 7 years. So I think, nostalgia will do well, but I also believe that the new songs is where we need to be looking at. And that was one of the conversations when we did first meet up. We can sit down forever and discuss the funny times and thank all of our angels that there was no mobile phones around in the days when we were, dropping out of clubs at 4 a.m. But the reality is to do it again is that we want to make a statement and enjoy it again and not just do nostalgia. It's a challenge in itself to record new music, and as Mark touched on earlier, where do you see Westlife on radio in 2018? Is it going to be Westlife versus Kygo featuring Calvin Harris, or can we actually stand up on our own 8 feet to see if to see if we can, if the music stands up, and we believe it can, and we're looking forward to people hearing that now.
And you've got a huge audience in Manchester. What does Manchester mean to you?
Oh my God, Manchester's incredible.
Yeah, we've had so many nights, even in the arena there. It's an incredible place. The sheer size of it. I remember the first year we did like 6 or 7 nights there.
The Saturday nights in Manchester were just insane.
Yeah, and we always try to get there. We even celebrated a few Paddy's Days.
Drank Guinness, didn't we? Down.
We tried to get the Manchester gig on Paddy's Day.
Yeah.
We honestly did, and we got it a few times. But I think we've played like 29 nights in that arena. And we got presented with a plaque, one of the last tours we did, and stuff like that is just incredible, and it's not something you take for granted. So to be back there playing, more concerts there again, it's just.
And it's the home of Manchester United as well, lads. So that's always a plus. But you know what? And without bringing it down, but I remember when the bombing happened recently. I remember being in the house and looking at it on Sky News, going, that was obviously heartbreaking, but it really resonated with ourselves because we played that arena so many times. We know all the staff in the corridors. We know what it's like to come off from, say, Ariana Grande's point of view, to come off the stage having done a great gig, and then for something like that to happen. So we do have a lot of, we've a lot of, what would you say, love for Manchester, I would believe. So it'd be lovely to go back and to do it.
Yeah. Obviously, send our massive heartwarm condolences out to all the families and the victims of that. Back then, it was just
tragic.
an insane tragedy.